The dormitory, a labyrinth of echoing corridors and dimly lit rooms, harbored secrets that thrived in the shadows. As a freshman at Hollowbrook University, I had chosen room 213 in the older wing, unaware that the quiet solitude I craved would soon be shattered by a malevolent force that lurked within the very walls. Strange occurrences began on the first night. An unnerving chill settled in the room, even as the thermostat stubbornly clung to a normal reading. Whispers, barely audible, danced through the air when the lights flickered in a rhythmic cadence. I dismissed it as the typical creaks and groans of an old building, but unease lingered. As the nights wore on, the haunting escalated. Objects would shift places when I left the room, and shadows seemed to move independently of the ambient light. A deep, guttural sound reverberated through the walls, echoing with an ominous resonance that raised the hairs on the back of my neck. One evening as I sat at my desk immersed in coursework, a sudden gust of wind blew through the room, extinguishing the flickering candle on my desk. I felt a chilling presence, an unseen entity watching with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. The room plunged into darkness, and in the black void, I glimpsed a pair of glowing eyes, a spectral figure that seemed to materialize before vanishing into the shadows. Terrified, I reached for my phone, fumbling to illuminate the room. The figure had vanished, leaving behind an oppressive silence. Doubt gnawed at my sanity, but I couldn't deny the haunting reality that unfolded within room 213. Desperate for answers, I sought solace in my roommate, Jenny. Her room, adjacent to mine, was untouched by the paranormal phenomena. As I shared my haunting experiences, a shadow crossed her face, betraying a knowledge she had kept concealed. With reluctance, she revealed the room's dark history. A student had mysteriously disappeared in room 213 years ago, leaving behind a legacy of unexplained occurrences. Determined to confront the malevolent force, Jenny and I delved into the room's past. In the flickering light of the dormitory archives, we uncovered the tragic tale of a tormented soul, a student who had dabbled in the occult, summoning forces beyond comprehension. The room, tainted by the dark rituals, became a vessel for the supernatural, and its restless spirit sought solace in the living. As we returned to room 213, armed with newfound knowledge, the air grew thick with anticipation. We lit candles and murmured incantations in an attempt to communicate with the restless spirit. The temperature dropped, and an otherworldly wind swept through the room. A spectral figure materialized, its eyes revealing a depth of anguish that transcended the barrier between the living and the dead. In whispered sobs, it spoke of regrets and a yearning for release. As the room pulsated with spectral energy, we conducted a ritual to guide the tormented spirit to the afterlife. With each incantation, the figure's form flickered, and the room trembled. The oppressive weight lifted and the temperature returned to normal. The glow in the eyes faded as the spirit, finally at peace, dissipated into the ether. Room 213, once a chamber of haunting, became a silent sanctuary. The paranormal disturbances ceased, leaving behind a dorm room with a newfound tranquility. As Jenny and I ventured into the uncharted territories of the supernatural, we carried with us the echoes of the restless spirit, a cautionary tale that whispered through the ages, a testament to the thin veil that separated the living from the dead in the haunted dorms of Hollowbrook University. The ancient library of Ashton College was a haven of knowledge, its towering shelves adorned with dusty tomes and forgotten tales. As a literature student, I spent countless hours in its hallowed halls, surrounded by the intoxicating scent of aged paper and the quiet rustle of turning pages. Little did I know that one fateful evening would plunge me into a chilling encounter with a haunted book that would forever change the course of my life. I stumbled upon the book by chance, an unassuming volume tucked away in the corner of the occult section. Its cover, worn and weathered, bore no title, only an intricate emblem that seemed to shimmer in the dim light. The moment my fingers brushed its surface, a shiver raced down my spine. But curiosity triumphed over unease. As I delved into its pages, the words seemed to writhe and pulse with an otherworldly energy. The narrative wove a tale of forbidden knowledge and ancient rituals, each sentence resonating with a dark power that seemed to seep into my very being. The room grew colder, and an unsettling silence settled over the library. As I progressed through the book, a shadowy figure materialized in my peripheral vision, a spectral presence that lingered at the edge of my awareness. Its eyes, hollow and piercing, bore into mine, and a voice echoed in my mind with a chilling message of doom. I tried to tear my gaze away, but an invisible force held me captive. The library transformed before my eyes. The shelves stretched and contorted, casting elongated shadows that seemed to dance in macabre celebration. The ambient light flickered, casting the room into a nightmarish realm where the boundaries between reality and the supernatural blurred. The haunted figure beckoned me deeper into the narrative, its presence an oppressive weight on my soul. The book's pages turned of their own accord, revealing a series of grotesque illustrations depicting scenes of unspeakable horror. Each image came to life with a malevolent energy that clawed at my sanity. As the story reached its climax, the library itself seemed to groan with an otherworldly agony. The air thickened with a palpable darkness, and the haunting figure stepped from the pages, now a tangible entity in the room. It moved closer, its ethereal form casting a ghastly glow. Paralyzed by fear, I watched as the haunted figure extended a ghostly hand, fingers brushing the air before me. The book levitated, pages turning rapidly, and the room echoed with whispers of ancient incantations. The barrier between the supernatural and the mundane crumbled, and I found myself ensnared in a spectral dance with forces beyond comprehension. With a final, chilling incantation, the figure dissipated, leaving the library in an oppressive stillness. The book, now devoid of its supernatural aura, fell to the ground, its pages closing with a muffled thud. The room returned to its normal state, but the residue of the haunting lingered, an indelible mark on my psyche. I fled the library, the weight of the paranormal encounter etched into my every step. The haunted book, now seemingly innocuous, remained on the shelf, waiting for the next unwitting soul to uncover its dark secrets. Ashton College, once a sanctuary of knowledge, had become a nexus of the supernatural, a place where the line between reality and the ethereal blurred, leaving those who dared to tread its halls forever haunted by the mysteries that lurked within the pages of the haunted book. The flickering lights in the deserted corridors of Cartridge College cast dancing shadows that seemed to whisper tales of unspeakable horrors. I, foolishly brave, had agreed to participate in a midnight dare, the infamous challenge of spending a night in the abandoned psychology lab. As I entered the dimly lit room, the air grew heavy, and an unshakable feeling of dread settled upon me. The room was filled with outdated equipment covered in dusty sheets, and a chalkboard bore cryptic symbols that seemed to writhe when I blinked. Ignoring the sense of foreboding, I set up my sleeping bag, determined to prove myself impervious to the superstitions that had surrounded the lab for decades. The clock struck midnight and an eerie chill swept through the room. The door creaked, swinging slowly closed as if urged by unseen hands. I scoffed at the suggestion of supernatural forces, convincing myself it was merely the result of an old drafty building. But then, an unsettling sound echoed, an ethereal whisper that slithered through the air, spelling out words I couldn't comprehend. As I strained to decipher the whispers, a cold hand caressed the back of my neck. I recoiled, my heart pounding, and turned to find the room enveloped in a spectral glow. Shadows danced on the walls, morphing into indiscernible shapes that seemed to watch me with an otherworldly hunger. The oppressive silence shattered as disembodied voices chorused in a haunting melody. Terrified, I attempted to flee, only to find the door slammed shut, trapping me in the supernatural theater. The whispers grew louder, forming coherent sentences that spoke of forgotten experiments and tormented souls. I stumbled backward, knocking over an old chair that echoed through the room like a gunshot. The glow intensified, revealing ghostly figures materializing from the shadows. Distorted faces, frozen in eternal agony, stared at me with hollow eyes. They reached out, their spectral fingers brushing against my skin. I felt a surge of dread as if absorbing the weight of their collective despair. In the midst of the spectral congregation, a figure emerged. A professor known only through faded photographs in the college archives. Dr. Rosalind Cartridge, the founder of the college, stood before me with hollow eyes, her voice a lament that echoed through the ages. She spoke of forbidden experiments conducted in the pursuit of unlocking the human mind. Experiments that had left the souls of students forever trapped within the confines of the psychology lab. Desperation clutched at my chest as Dr. Cartridge's ghostly gaze bore into me. The room pulsed with energy, and the tortured souls circled, their moans amplifying in a crescendo of sorrow. I pleaded for release, promising to reveal the dark secrets that had long remained buried. As the clock struck 3, the whispers ceased and the room fell silent. The spectral figures dissipated into the shadows, leaving me alone with the chilling truth. Dr. Cartridge's ghostly visage lingered, her hollow eyes reflecting both sorrow and gratitude. The door swung open, and the spectral glow faded. As I stumbled out into the corridor, the once deserted halls now felt alive with the echoes of a tragic past. I left Cartridge College forever changed, burdened with the weight of secrets that transcended the boundaries between the living and the dead. The abandoned psychology lab remained, a haunted testament to the cost of unchecked ambition and the lingering shadows of tormented souls. The moon hung low in the sky, casting a pale glow over the deserted campus of Meadowood University. The air was thick with an ominous silence as my friends, Alex, Sarah, and I navigated the darkened pathways. The campus, once vibrant with life, now felt like a graveyard, haunted by the secrets it harbored. We had decided to stay late in the art studio, finishing our projects ahead of the looming deadline. The flickering fluorescent lights added an eerie ambiance, casting long shadows that seemed to dance with malevolence. As we wrapped up our work, a chilling realization settled over us. The campus was empty, and the gates were inexplicably locked. Nervous laughter echoed through the silent halls as we approached the main gate. Panic set in when we discovered it was secured, trapping us within the campus grounds. We fumbled with our phones, attempting to call for help, but the signal was strangely absent, leaving us isolated in the encroaching darkness. As we debated our next move, a distant scream pierced the silence, sending shivers down our spines. We exchanged terrified glances, realizing that we were not alone. The sound of hurried footsteps approached, echoing through the deserted quad. Fear seized us as we glimpsed a shadowy figure emerging from the shadows, a masked silhouette wielding a gleaming blade. Without a word, we sprinted towards the nearest building, our hearts pounding in sync with the rapid rhythm of our breaths. The figure pursued us relentlessly, their steps echoing our desperate escape. Panic and dread fueled our adrenaline as we raced through dimly lit corridors, the ominous footsteps growing louder with each passing moment. We burst into the library, gasping for breath, our eyes darting anxiously in search of a hiding place. The masked assailant followed, the glint of the blade catching the feeble light. We concealed ourselves among the bookshelves, hearts pounding in our ears as we strained to control our panicked breaths. The library fell silent, and in the stillness we could hear the masked figure methodically searching the aisles. The oppressive quiet was shattered by the sudden clatter of a fallen book, and we held our breath, praying not to be discovered. The footsteps approached our hiding spot, and I could feel the cold sweat on my palms. The masked figure paused as if sensing our presence. The seconds stretched into an agonizing eternity. Then, with an unsettling certainty, the figure turned away, continuing their relentless pursuit elsewhere. We waited in terrified silence, the library now a chamber of horrors as the footsteps faded into the distance. Gathering our courage, we cautiously emerged from our hiding place, deciding to risk the darkness outside over the imminent threat within. We navigated the maze-like halls, moving with stealth and urgency. The campus, once a familiar landscape, now felt like a nightmarish maze. As we approached the exit, the moon disappeared behind thick clouds, plunging us into total darkness. The chilling wind carried the distant wail of sirens, a grim reminder of the horrors that had unfolded. We burst through the gates, gasping for the sweet embrace of freedom. The campus, once a haven of education, now bore witness to the terrors that lurked within its shadows. The masked figure remained at large, leaving us haunted by the chilling realization that the pursuit may not be over. The darkness that chased us that night lingered, a malevolent presence that would forever stain the memory of Meadowood University.